Hello and welcome to Black and Sober, the podcast. The aim of our podcast is to connect with people from a drinking culture, especially those like us from the Black community who have chosen to go against the grain and enjoy life without alcohol.
We started this podcast because we struggled to find anyone from similar backgrounds willing to share their sober story. We encourage others to take the plunge as we have and share their experiences with us.
We would like to thank 12 Way Studios for allowing us to record our podcast here. They too believe in the cause and are willing to offer their support as we try to elevate our community and spread positivity. Welcome to our 5th episode of Black and Sober. Today we have another lovely guest. We have Fran here today. Thank you for joining us, Fran.
Thank you.
Hi,
I'm
Fran.
excited to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah. Fran, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself? Like, who are you? What do you do?
So I am Fran. I'm 33. I'm from London. I've lived in London pretty much my whole life. And I'm almost going to be a year sober. On the 1st of January, actually, I'll be a year.
Well done. Congratulations.
Well
wow.
done.
Yeah.
What a good day to have, like, your sober date.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? It's one of those things where when people asked me in like January last year, at the beginning of this year, they'd say to me, "Are you just doing dry January?"
Yeah.
And I actually planned to do it for the long term from day one.
Okay.
I think I'd done dry January once or something like that before. But yeah, it is a nice day now.
Yeah, amazing.
It's the day you change yourself. Anyway,
you're always
isn't
going to
it?
be counting New Year's into your that will mean like two meanings for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. So do you want to tell us like a bit how what alcohol was like for you growing up?
So alcohol, so it was in my life from a very young age. My dad is an alcoholic, and I grew up around his heavy drinking. It's interesting because at different stages of his alcoholism, whether he was drinking heavily, whether he was trying to moderate, and at different ages of my life, it affected me differently. And then when I was 12 or 13, I had my first drink. It was like Bacardi Breezer.
That was like mine.
Yeah, and WKD, and it was just whatever you could get in those little bottles.
Yeah.
Vodka,
Alka Pops.
Alka Pops. Yeah. And he had actually bought them for me and said that he would rather me drink at home, just a few of them. It was like 3 or 4, than to go out on the street and be drinking in the parks and blacking out and something bad happening. And, you know, for me, it was like, this is amazing. Like, I remember even wanting to drink, like finding it wasn't like a deterrent seeing my dad in all these bad states. It was almost like I had an interest in it, which is a nuts kind of way. But, and that was my first drink. And my friends used to come over to my house. We'd have sleepovers. And then I think like 3 Bacardis, I could buy them from the shop by myself, I think by a year later. And we would get like 5 bottles each. We would just drink, order Chinese, listen to music and just chat really. Pretty much most weekends for a little while.
Was you at school at this?
I was at school.
Yeah.
I was like 14.
Yeah.
But it like, the thing is that I wasn't like the 14-year-olds today. Like, or maybe I wasn't even like the 14-year-olds then. Like, I always seemed about 2 or 3 years older than I was.
Okay.
Even at that age, like I didn't look 14 at all. Like I'd say I looked like 16. I think I was operating like I was a 16-year-old even at that age.
Yeah.
And alcohol just started there and just progressed in different ways. I used to smoke weed as well a lot when I was 13 to 16. Like every weekend. Yeah. And then stopped at 16 and kind of alcohol was my life. Yeah. After that.
Yeah. Oh, I can really relate to everything you've just said there. It sounds so similar, like having the dad that's an alcoholic and buying the drinks. Like, because my dad would always buy me an alcoholic drink. Like, you know, he gave you your first drink. Like, he was always up for it. Like, it's almost like it's just sad that it was like that.
Yeah, Alicia's dad actually gave me my first drink.
Really?
He was away on holiday, yeah. So back to your experience with your first drink and your dad. When he came in and sort of said he wants you to, or allowed you to drink, was that an occasion, or was it just one day out of the blue that happened? Was it a birthday, Christmas, or anything like that?
Do you know what? Like, that's a great question. And I don't remember it being a birthday or Christmas or anything like that. And I don't know if it was me that asked him, like, can you, knowing that he would, but it was just, the occasion was a Saturday or a Friday.
Right, yeah.
And I think I had just like said it to my friend, and I think I'd become aware of alcohol happening around me somewhere apart from my dad. And I was just like, yeah, this might be like a good idea. I need something to like spice up my weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, he took me to the shop, got it, and then the parties began basically.
Yeah.
So you was 13 at this time, 13, 14.
Yeah, I think I could have been late, like 12 going on 13. I was definitely at least 13.
Yeah.
So after that first experience, what was your drinking pattern? Was it sort of at that age you had your first experience, you've got it out the way, that's it? Or was it like next weekend and then the weekend after, then partying?
Yeah, like it that was like fun for me. Like no one else I knew in my year group was doing it. And like at that young anyway. And then I think when you went on to like 14, that was when everyone started really drinking in the parks and stuff. So like after that, all I really wanted to do was kind of like, I wouldn't say I woke up and thought, oh my God, I'm getting drunk on Saturday. It would be like, we're all meeting up. But if there was a way I could get alcohol or alcohol was involved in that scenario with friends, like that's what I wanted.
Right.
And the next experience after I'd had with the just drinking Bacardi breezes at home, I went out with my friend. I told my mum I was staying at my friend's house, and she told her mum she was staying at my house. And we went out on the night buses in like North London, and bought like a litre of vodka, and we were just drinking it straight, which is crazy because
Well,
straight. That was just a thing to do, or I don't know why we couldn't get a mix or something. I never done that since that night.
So what, you just sit on the night buses and go round
Every
and then
stop we'd like neck loads, and then basically what happened is I ended up blacking out and like falling onto the tracks in a train station.
oh my gosh.
I don't remember anything. Like I just remember like feeling really dizzy, and then me and my friend had an argument. She left, and the next thing I remember, I woke up in hospital, and I just remember thinking like, you know, that feeling of like I can't control this. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
how old was
everything
you then? Sorry.
I was, I think 14.
Okay.
13 or 14, and I woke up in a hospital, and my mum was there, and I had to get my stomach pumped, and I remember like being so embarrassed because like I knew my friend. She wasn't a close friend. She was someone like an associate, like when you're that young anyway. And I remember everyone at school was going to be talking about the fact that it's embarrassing to have that happen.
But you know what? I got my stomach pumped when I was 14 as well.
Is
So
it?
it's a snap.
Oh my God.
Stomach pump today.
Yeah, exactly. So and the same thing with me as well. I was worried about at school and what everyone would sort of think. Yeah, I was at a private family function. Spoke about it on our episode 1, but still going to school the Monday after was like, oh man, this is long.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not alone with that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, 100%. It's nice that you can say that because even though drinking was like glamorized, even and people going in parks and stuff, it was proper. Like I remember that dread of thinking like, do I have a problem? Like, just people are gonna laugh and say like, oh, that's embarrassing. Like you can't really be falling on tracks and be like acting that way.
Yeah.
So what actually happened? How did they find you?
I don't know. Someone called the ambulance. Like I'd literally it was like one of those things where those ramps you could go down, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
Like I didn't fall off the platform, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I think people helped me, and I just remember like then when I was on the platform, like just seeing the trains, and I just remember looking at people thinking like, someone help me, but I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
So you woke up in hospital, and both your parents were there, or just your mum?
God, my mum. And
what was your dad's reaction to this then? Both your parents' reaction, but just wanted to ask about your dad's reactions, especially to see.
God, you know, I've never spoken about this actually, like in detail. But my mum I could just see the disappointment. So my mum and dad weren't together. Like they separated when I was 6. And so I was living with my mum alone at the time and my older sister. And my mum was just standing there. And I remember just thinking like the trouble of lying to her. That was the first thing. Not the fact that I'm in hostel, because maybe I'll get a sympathy vote. Do you know what I mean? Like, that sounds really bad, but she was just disappointment. And then, you know, probably concern as well. So I felt bad and scared. And then I knew my dad, he would get me out of it. So she called him and he said, I'm going to come and pick her up. And what's actually crazy is he picked me up, took me to his house, which he shared with his girlfriend, and I drank that night.
I was going to say he gave you another drink, but I didn't.
And the next day, like, it wasn't like vodka, because, you know, you don't want to have vodka after it reminds you of vodka. But it would have been Bacardi Breezes or something, and it wasn't like, you know.
And you just had your stomach pumped.
Maybe I can't even remember if it was that night, but
within that week.
I think it was. I think it was the next day.
So, but from the hospital, you did go to his, and it was the next day.
Stayed for a couple, 3 days or something. And
so,
I remember so crazy.
So, had your mum known that when you was 13, your dad gave you the drink? Because obviously they're separated now. Did your mum know you had your first drink with your dad that time?
So I think she had known. She found out at some stage that there was like a Bacardi Breezer, but she didn't know the extent of it, and she didn't know that, like, I can't really remember, but a lot of it was secretive. So like she might think I was having one, which was kind of fine, but she wouldn't know that there'd be like 5 bottles of it. So
just moving on from like your teenage life of drinking, what was it like in your adult life, like when you was in your 20s?
So I lived alone from the age of 16, and like I lived in like various different places from 16 to 18, like hostels in London, and it meant that I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted. Prior to that, I'd lived in Guyana, and the lifestyle over there where I went to school was, you're just treated like older than you are. There's a lot more freedom. So
that's probably why you found that you was a lot older than you were as a teenager.
And everything that kind of happened to me, it kind of just prepared me for life, like very early on. I can't explain it. Like I was very clued up about everything that was happening at a young age.
You was a bit ahead of your time, sort of thing.
Very ahead of my times, like emotionally as well. And then when I moved from Guyana back to London, that's when I went into the hostel system.
Oh, wow.
And I got my flat at 18. And I don't think I've spoken about this as well, but I remember even living in the different hostels, like the freedom to have my own room and my own little kitchen and, like, you know, my fridge. It was this like feeling of excitement, like I'm an adult. Apart from the fears and having to go through the system and it being very stressful, I felt like I couldn't relate to anyone. Having a drink, like I used to get those bottles of rosé. This was between like 16 to 18. And I would just drink them. You had like CD players. I get my favorite albums. I used to buy them from someone. And I would just clean my room, listen to music, drink on my own.
What was you doing these times? Was you in college, uni, working?
I was at college and I was working. And then on the weekends I would just come in and then like the party lifestyle started from about 18. So that's like the clubbing. I was out clubbing every weekend, like, you know, tables, bottles, clubbing. Sometimes there were so many different scenes that I could go to. So depending on how I felt would depend on where I went. But yeah, it just changed. Like, you know, even though I drank at home with the bottle of wine, it was usually only just one bottle. But then the clubbing scene was obviously the excessive, the shots, the drinking, the going out. And yeah, that was just my life for a long time in my 20s, like living for the weekend. I worked in a bar, I was studying at uni, and it was just about getting drunk. Like, that's what I thought everyone was doing. Like, there was, you know, I'm studying, I'm a smart girl, I'm going to go places in my life, so of course you've got to drink.
No harm
like,
to let your hair down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where my head was at.
Yeah. And then how did it take a turn then when you was in your... Was it like... well, you've been sober for a year, so when did that all come to an end? And how did it come to an end?
Do you know what? Like, I was speaking to someone about this just today, and we were saying, like, it wasn't just that you know, we woke up one day and was like, oh, I need a drink. Like, I never needed a drink. I wouldn't wake up in the morning and think, oh, I need a drink. Like that, this huge stereotype that people have of alcohol dependency or of alcoholics. Yeah. But I definitely from 18 until I stopped drinking at 33, I can't lie about it. Like, I looked forward to the weekends. Yeah. I lived for the weekends. Yeah. And the weekends meant drinking.
Yeah. So was you drinking in a week?
So, I mean, occasionally I would, right? But it wouldn't be at home alone. Like, in my 20s, it was always midweek cocktails with the girls. Right. And it was, sometimes there'd be like a cheap night out, like a clubbing event on a weekday. Yeah. And then maybe I wouldn't go out on the weekend. But there was always some kind of big event or something that included alcohol. Like, it would be very rare I'd go a week. Yeah. Or more than 2 weeks without drinking. Sometimes it wasn't hugely excessive. It didn't end with, you know, like me losing my bag and stuff. But yeah, what were we going for 2-for-1 cocktails for? Yeah, exactly. Drinking 3 bottles of Prosecco each in a night at someone's house. Yeah. Like, not being able to remember the night, arguing. Like, when you have like close friendships, like, you know, eventually, like, you're talking probably about the same stuff every night.
Yeah. Same arguments.
And it just, drinking was just a big part of my life. And as I got older and my priorities changed and my relationships around me changed, my drinking changed, but it was just always constant. Right. And I'd say when it became a problem was when the drinking alone, it was always a problem. But the drinking alone and the sneaking drinking and the needing a drink before, like, you know, those little cans.
Like before you go out, just to get yourself prepared to go out.
So when you say the sneaking drinking, what was your reason for being sneaky? If you was living on your own, so did you have a partner at this time? Who was you, or what was he sneaking around?
So do you know what it was? It wasn't even so much like sneaking that I was drinking. It was more the amounts. Right. So like. So at different stages. So yeah, I had a partner, and I was quite open about my drinking. But like, it would be maybe I'd just have a bottle of wine instead of 2. Yeah, right. Or like, I remember when my mum was staying with me at my flat. I remember I would come home from work, and I worked in recruitment at the time, and I would really want to know that I got to go home and have a bottle of wine, and I would quickly go to the pub and have like 2 glasses of wine first, like neck them. Yeah. Like this, we're talking like I'd be there for like 15 minutes. Yeah, and sometimes I'd have 3. Like, that's a bottle of wine, 3 large glasses.
Really quickly.
With the 2 at a time, 3 at a time, so I haven't got to wait for the bartender to come back.
Yeah.
Quickly. So you're getting ahead of it. You're getting that in before you get to so you stop off at the pub, and then on the way in you'll get more. I'll
get a bottle of wine, and then I'll go home, and to my mum, I'm just having a bottle of wine.
Yes.
But, you know, maybe I might even have it in even extra small one hidden away. But, you know, like, when we say this out loud, it's like, to someone that's listening that doesn't drink, you know, that have that urge to have so much just to feel like comfortable that you're all right. Like that. They might say, well, how could you not know that was a problem? But for so many of us that are doing it, like, we don't think it's a problem. Well, we do know it's wrong, otherwise we wouldn't sneak it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's like, well, then you just tell yourself, oh, well, so what? Like, it's not like I'm an alcoholic like that man on the street.
And so many people, you could speak to so many people and they can be like, you're fine, you're not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I've just realised I've got lots of outfits. I've got alcohol, pictures of alcohol on it. Like, I've got a T-shirt that's like, says something about Prosecco, like Prosecco time or something. A card that we got a go at work during the week. I didn't pick it up, but it had like champagne glasses, like happy birthday. It was just a happy birthday card, but it had alcohol in it. Yeah. I've got a jumper that is like an alcohol. It's a branded alcohol jumper. You've got T-shirts that like it's everywhere. It's accepted in so many places that when you are drinking a couple of bottles of wine a night, it's sort of like, well, we live a tough life. Like we've got,
absolutely.
You know.
I watch a lot of football and especially the Champions League, and every advert before the sort of at half time is just drink,
is it booze?
Drink. Yeah,
it's pushed on us. It is pushed on us.
100%. You see it more now. Like I never thought I'd be one of those people that one was sober, like ever. Like everyone says that, and you know, you kind of feel like.
Yeah, I agree. For us as well, yeah.
But I never thought I'd be one of those people that is seeing the adverts everywhere and being offended or bothered by it, like. Because at the end of the day, it's not blaming anyone else for our problems with alcohol or our use of it, but it makes being socially programmed to heavily and excessively drink, like you're kind of incorporating the views that it's okay. And that's why a lot of us end up denying that we have a problem, because we can mask it as okay.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, we can only drink shots. I could only drink at 13, for example, after my dad, if the shopkeeper let me buy alcohol then. Yeah. Back then, age wasn't a thing. You could get into clubbing younger than you were without ID.
Yeah.
And everyone just wants to get drunk. Yeah. Like, that's it. So, like, I think it's good that we are speaking about, obviously, our experiences and spreading the word that, you know, you don't have to be a raging alcoholic who drinks in the morning to have a dependency or problematic drinking habit.
Yeah, my drinking habits, they were definitely problematic, but one rule that I had, unless it was an occasion like a wedding or a stag or something, one rule that I would have is I wouldn't start drinking until it got dark. So I wouldn't wait. So I wouldn't wake up in the morning. So I'd never do that, or even early afternoon. But from that sun goes down or it starts getting dark,
that's it.
Then I'll start playing catch up now. Yeah. Because even though I did want to drink from earlier, that's my one rule. So now, first few are going down quickly because I need to catch up, and then that's just it. And then once I've had those first few, that's it for the rest of the evening. That's my pace. I set the pace. Yeah. So what you were saying, just because you don't drink first thing in the morning doesn't mean you haven't got a problem. But you're right, that's the perception a lot of people have of alcoholics. Park benches, homeless, wake up, drink the alcohol. If you haven't got any alcohol in your house, you revert to the perfume or the aftershave. Or
that's what people think.
That's what people think.
It's such a view that's like trapped
in
everything's becoming current and upgraded, but not people's views of a drug that is available on every street corner. Like, there's literally, like, in America, there's pharmacies basically on every corner. In pretty much all of the states. But in this country, it's a pub or an alcohol or wine shop. Like, this is one of the biggest nations for heavy drinking in Europe. I think it's like number 2. And
it came out recently about women that we're the biggest drinkers in Europe.
And I mean, it's like, and look how big football culture is. Like, what does football go hand in hand with? Drinking. Imagine a match over here that didn't serve alcohol. How mad would that be?
It's mad.
So Fran, I first knew about you because I was listening to, at the beginning of my sobriety, a lot of the time I was listening to the Sassy Sober Mum podcast, and you was on it. And when I listened to it, you said something that really resonated with me, that when you used to drink, you used to speak a lot and get really deep with your conversations, because I feel like that was me. Like, since I've been sober and not drinking, I haven't got into a deep conversation that was really unnecessary at times for me, bringing up stuff from the past and going down these. avenues where I'm having these sort of conversations that it's crazy that it's in my brain, but it hasn't come when I'm being sober. It's not necessary, so it doesn't come out. So it's funny that when you do drink and similar thing happened to you, because not everyone that I speak to about alcohol has that sort of thing that you had. Well, yeah.
It's so interesting you brought that up, actually, because that is like the truth. Like, if I think about what happened towards it was always there from the beginning, but you can't really have deep conversations in a club. But if everyone came back to mine, I'm taking everyone down that dark road straight away about fathers, about pain, about like issues. Like, I've always been kind of wired to talk about, I guess, psychology and those kind of things, the things that I'm interested in. But it was very dark, and it was almost like my way of dealing with trauma.
Yes, yeah.
And when I did the podcast, I remember listening it back to it and thinking, God, I really went on too much about that.
Oh, okay.
Because, you saying that you don't speak to a lot of people, like, I don't hear a lot of people say that that's
or bring
what
that
they used
that
to do.
thing up, yeah.
So it's nice that you said that, because it was just my truth. Like, it was, but people got sick of it, first of all. Like, it was like, oh, Fran's on one now.
Yeah,
like,
it used to be like, oh God, here we go.
I
Alicia's
thought I was the only one. Like, as soon as she started, I'd just be like, oh.
It was.
Let me pour myself another drink.
Yeah, pour myself.
Yeah, it was like that. It was just dark, and the tears would come out, and the music, and it was like every time.
I thought she was the only one.
Is it?
Yeah,
It's so funny.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Every single emotion is coming out. Like,
yeah, and I think that was like probably the biggest negative effect that alcohol had on me was that I'm a very emotional person in general. I'm very in touch with my feelings. Like, that saying, like, it's not that deep. Like, that's like the opposite of me. Like, everything is deep.
Same. I am the same.
Like, I've even done like workshops on it about that phrase. Like that, not that I'm against it, but with the alcohol, it amplified every emotion I had, but it not in a good way.
Yes.
It turned me erratic, confrontational. It was all these unresolved emotions and traumas and past things that had happened to me, and alcohol just brought them straight to the surface and then out my mouth and into the world. And sometimes I think I was even drinking to start going back to that place.
Yes, I used to.
Really?
Oh yeah, I used to remember like drinking in the kitchen and being like, I'm going back to like a place of dark times, and he's gonna get it.
You see me. When I used to drink,
I used to actually feel it. I used to put on a song and be like, right, when he gets down from putting the kids to bed, he's getting it. He hasn't even done anything.
Many times, I'll be, because when I drink, I'm not on the emotions and the talking.
Yeah.
I just want to put on some music, watch my music videos, and just go from song to song to song when I'm drinking. So there'll be times where I'm drinking maybe in the front room or in a different room, and I'll go into the room that she's in, and I'd see her in the position or listening to the music, and I'll peek in and I think, this isn't going to end well. She's in that zone.
I'm in a zone.
Yeah. And then I know that my presence, her just seeing my presence there, I'm going to be in for a long night. It's going to be emotions or arguments. So many a times I'd bust the door, see you in the room, I'd think, nah, F that. And then I'll quickly close the door quietly. I'd bounce and go back to doing my thing. Yeah, so.
But now, obviously, things are a lot raw because we're not using the alcohol to cover, kind of mask that up or go down that road. So now it's really raw. So, for example, in the early stages, I remember my mum and brother just bringing up something about what happened to me as a child that normally I would have kind of laughed at. I might have later had a cry about it because I went and drank about it. But I just erupted being sober. I was just like, that actually really hurt my feelings. Like, I was trying to explain to them and they were like not listening to me. And I just exploded. I was just like, you're not listening to me. I'm trying to say that this actually makes me really upset. This makes me angry. But I always used to sort of drink it away and kind of laugh it off. But then when I was in my own zone, or even with people, I used to find it easier to talk to strangers or people or friends about certain stuff that hurt my feelings rather than my family. So now being sober, I'm learning to sort of explain my feelings and my emotions a lot better. I'm still learning. I'm still on that journey about how to express that and how to express those dark feelings that I'm feeling.
Yeah, because that even caught me off guard. Like when you got in, because I was like, that's the joke that they would say quite regularly, and you'd laugh it off with them. So, but now you've just switched and exploded on them. Like you can't expect them. Like this has come up for years and years and years, quite regularly, and now it's just so. But I think you've learned to cope with that quite well. Actually.
Yeah, it's just coping with the rawness of emotions.
Yeah. That's a really, really good point. Like I have not thought about it in that way or heard someone say it like that. But yeah, like I guess it's one of, I think people assume when you have alcohol in your life, well, if it was just on the Saturday or just like on the weekend, how did it filter into, all your emotions all the time? But like it absolutely does. Because, if you're dealing, like if you've got alcohol, you can go back when you need to feel something or you need to deal with something someone said or something that's happened in the past. You go to that quiet moment alone, and that's when you're processing it and you can handle it and manage it. But you're teaching your brain how to handle, that's not managing your emotions. No. That's blocking them and then exploring them and then not remembering it.
Yeah,
exactly.
So when did you stop? What was the day like for you when you decided to quit drinking?
What was the trigger where you said, right, that's it?
Okay, so I have to kind of give you a background of like the previous 2 years leading up, because that's like really when my drinking took like a darker turn. And I was but the way that I always put it is that I used to externally look for excuses as to why my drinking wasn't bad throughout my life. So, my friends drink a lot, I'm not an alcoholic that drinks in the morning. I'm young, it's fun, I have a job, I earn money, I have a flat, like blah, blah, blah. And what had happened is like a few of my relationships, like with friends who I'd grown up with, had started to distance themselves from me. And we'd been drinking together since 18, pretty much maybe even once a week at each other's houses. I grew up with them, like school friends, and I guess they got sick of the problematic drinking in me. Like, even though we were both drinking heavily together, maybe I'd start an argument or I'd say something rude.
So would you go on at that bit more? Because I find I would drink with my friends, but I would always be that one that would just
want to carry on,
or just be the one that's starting an argument, fighting, just doing something silly, stupid that I would not normally do. I was always a liability. A lot of my friends would say, Alicia, you coming out of us drinking, you're a liability to us. But in a funny way, they would laugh it off, be like, she's a liability.
Yeah. So like, do you know what it was? I can't explain it. Like, the thing is that if I ask my friends now, was I like a liability? Like, they would all say like, you were actually the one that was the most in control, which is crazy. But I don't know if it's emotions or what it is, but I wouldn't really like often fall over or like do that. It was just the personality coming out, I think, and the arguments. Like, I'd be very confrontational and antagonistic. So like someone would say something and I would just pick at them, like almost like I wanted to have a fight, like I wanted to argue. Smoking areas, I'd be telling everyone to shut up. Like it was almost like I felt fearless. Like, don't talk to me like that. Like, like, what do you know? I couldn't wait to tell someone about themselves, like in any situation. And it wasn't always like that. Sometimes it was just fun, and I'd be the life of the party, making like everyone would think it was great to be around me. But it was just the unpredictability. Like, I didn't know which state, depending on my mood, I was going to go into. And just and I became very unreliable. So like, if there was a birthday party or there was anything, I don't care what it is, I'm not going if I don't want to go. And when I would wake up hungover, like, I just couldn't think of going there. Like, I became like someone who just was known as like the person that cancels, like a flake. She's not going, she's drunk again. Maybe she was drinking till the morning, or she went out to an after party when we all went home. And I think people got sick of it. Like, oh, I'm really sorry I couldn't come, or I'd say I was sick or something. And towards so this was in the last 2 years, like a lot of the people who I had thought was like my family, like just didn't want to really know me anymore. And it was like a huge realization for me. Like it was really painful, to be honest, because I thought I've got no one now. Like, and instead of looking at myself and thinking, you know, it's down to alcohol, I just thought, I don't want to talk to you guys anyway. Like, how can you leave me? How can you do this? Like, we've been friends for ages. Like, and, you know, I just was in denial.
So at this point, you're putting no blame towards the alcohol. You're not even thinking that alcohol is the problem now.
I think I knew, like, I'd have that fear of, like, looking at my life, like, I've got no one, I've got nothing, like, this is what I'm doing every weekend, like, and, you know, but so then I'd go get a job that was paying more money, or I'd start going to the gym. I'd try and counteract the shame, but it was like that unbearable fear, like, you know, when you wake up with a hangover, it was like that, like, just thinking, like, what am I actually doing? But then I couldn't face that. I couldn't face to actually look at my life and see that, like, you know, people that I loved that much just didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Did any of them actually say anything, or did you?
Like, they had mentioned, like, that obviously, because there was arguments and stuff stuff I'd say or do, and they'd mention it, but in general, I just felt like they all kind of just distanced. Like, there was never just like, we don't want to talk to you anymore. It was just like, never free, didn't, you know, I knew they were all talking about me, and talking about, like, what a mess I was. And what I did is I decided to go on an all-inclusive holiday to Cancun on my own.
Oh, wow.
Not Cancun, sorry, it was another part of Mexico. I just thought, like, I don't need anyone. Like, I'm going to get a better job. I'm going to go on a holiday. Like, you know, you can never go on holiday on your own. I don't need anyone. It was almost like entering into a very dangerous stage of self-sabotage.
Right.
And yeah, I think the holidays, I went on a few holidays in those 2 years.
By yourself?
By myself.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, like, and I just drank basically from the moment I got to the airport, from the moment I started packing my suitcase to the moment that I came back. And it was just like, that was when it really was just like, because on holidays you can drink every day, right? And I just, it was just unmanageable. Like, you know, I came back and then started just, the drinking at home was just going until the morning, like 6 a.m. And then I started having like hair of the dog the next day just to keep going. And I swear, like, I just have one bottle. I just maybe go out, meet someone. Do you know what I mean? And the depression and the feeling of like being unmanageable was just too much.
So no one ever said to you, like, your friends or family never said maybe cut out the drinking, or no one ever put it to you, like, about your drinking, or did they? And you weren't having it.
The thing is, when you're with heavy drinkers that drink just as much as you, like, maybe they don't like ever do other things, or they don't carry on drinking past 3 a.m. Like, it's very hard. Like, I don't know if I purposely surrounded myself with heavy drinkers. Maybe we encouraged each other over the years. Like, I don't know, but it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle. Like, no one was really going to turn around and say, like, you drink too much, because then what? Like, do you drink? Like, it's like,
hypocrite sort of thing.
But people do that. Like, they do count. Like, I definitely knew that I was like looking at people thinking, who's drinking quicker? Like, towards the end, I didn't care. I just thought, like, I had really lost a lot of care of the things that I would have cared about over time.
I can relate.
And yeah, like, it was just, the only person I'd say is my mum. She did, and my partner actually, like, and they would just basically say that, you know, my mum particularly would just say, like, you know, Franny, I think you should, you know, cut down or stop, or, you know, but I hid a lot from her.
How did you take that? What was your reaction to her saying that?
Like, it's not a problem. Like, you just calm it down and play it down. Because I really did a good job of, like, making it seem fun. Like the things that happened with friends that I couldn't control, that was when it started the cracks started to come out. Do you know what I mean? But I think when we drink, we can really, you tend to put yourselves in situations where it is acceptable and it is okay. And, you know, like, I remember thinking maybe this is a problem, you know, like I'd come out from a holiday of like 10 days and I'd be drinking even on the plane when I got to the airport to London at like 8 a.m, going home and then carry on drinking because it's like holiday. You know, like saying it out loud seems crazy, but at the time, my reality was my reality. It didn't seem crazy. And yeah, like it was just what happened on the lead up was I had lost loads of weight, right? I'd started going to the gym and like I said, counteracting, I'd got this job that was like a crazy pay increase. And I felt like I was on top of the world, like legit, like I felt amazing. I felt great. But what I was doing was then just really getting blackout, like fucked on the weekends, and sometimes stopping drinking at like Sunday, and then I got work on Monday. But the job I got, they're all massive drinkers. People go and pub at lunch, so I thought perfect, like you know, I could go in hungover and just completely glamorize it. And people were just, it was crazy. Like, there wasn't a day that people didn't go to the pub. So it just fitted right in. And then I had an injury, like I went away and I was like doing nitrous oxide, like balloons and drinking. And I lost like numbness in the back of my leg. Like, I don't know what happened, but I basically hit my head on the curb, like just lost all control of my body and just hit my head on the curb. And I think 100% I had a concussion, but I didn't want to go to hospital because I was too embarrassed, because I literally passed out for like a minute. And these were all the signs, do you know what I mean? But I was just too scared. I thought I will never be able to not drink. Like, what's the point in admitting that it's a problem if I can't change?
Can't do nothing about it.
So yeah, and then I put all the weight back on basically, and I was just drinking and really depressed and low. And my mum came over to see me from Guyana, and she literally just like took one look at me, and I'd lost the job I was working for. I'd just called in sick too many times. Went on holiday and just told them, like, it was crazy. I mean, I don't even think I would have gone back to the job anyway. But so I wasn't working and I was just in a very, very bad place. And I basically decided on that day that I'm going to try and stop for New Year's Day. And yeah, I went to an ACA meeting. I don't know if
What's
you've heard
that?
of
No,
that.
I've not heard of that.
So it's called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. It's a fellowship associated with AA.
Okay.
But it's like I basically was looking on Eventbrite on the last week of last year, thinking I need to start doing things like get to the gym, go to all these free events, like get myself out there and start feeling better. And then obviously I'll probably I'll be able to stop drinking somehow. So I saw this thing saying this is a talk for if you have a parent that's an alcoholic and it's affected you. And I thought, oh, great, this will be like a seminar with someone talking at the front of the room, like a doctor or someone. I didn't know what it was. And when I went there and I saw the 12 steps on the wall, I was like, oh, okay, so this is actually a fellowship. And it was New Year's Eve. And I thought, oh, I'm going to stop drinking tomorrow, so this is perfect. But it wasn't like, I was so anxious. I was walking up these stairs, a sort of recovery centre. I thought, this isn't too much, man. I'm going to go. But something told me to just go up there. And I was just sat there the whole time like, God, please don't ask me to speak. Like, I hate this. This is so uncomfortable. Like, I thought I was having a panic attack. I was sweating. It was hell. But yeah, like that moment for me, that literally changed like everything for me, like in the ACA meeting.
Oh, wow.
Like I saw for the first time that crazy, like I wouldn't say I'm a spiritual godly person at all, but like this experience for me was, in a second, it was like the lies came down, like you know, the mask came off and I saw who I was.
So what was there discussions there that you could really relate to? Is that what helped you there?
Yeah, like it was just the open discussion, I think, of alcoholism and how it affects you. Like it was talking about, you know, this is a program that's really helpful for anyone that has got a parent that's an alcoholic. And it's not for everyone. It's very intense and it's very emotional and deep stuff. But I think just being around people who either had their own issues of alcoholism or had been affected by it from a family member, them talking about it. And I just saw this space and this world and this room that people can talk about something so taboo and so deep. And like this stuff that was coming out of this room was just probably not even that like huge, but it was the first time me hearing that it was okay to talk about alcohol in a negative way. The fun, it's not just fun. And it was mental to me because like I didn't know, obviously I could get sober for a long time, but I definitely knew I wasn't doing dry January. I thought I could maybe do this. And I went to AA the next day. I drank that night on the 31st. I thought I'm stopping tomorrow. So I'm going to have like 3 cans of beer or cider or something and not get drunk, but just like say goodbye to it. And I didn't want to. I remember saying, don't do that. There's no point if you're stopping tomorrow. But I was like, listen, you'll stop tomorrow.
You knew
you was going to stop.
And then the next day I went to AA and I just decided like from that day one, like I can't drink anymore. Like I actually have a problem. And yeah, it's going to ruin my life. And I think the thing about AA is that I think submitting, like they always say, like submitting, like the first step is that you're powerless against alcohol. You know, there's not a lot, everything, you know, I haven't done the 12 steps or anything like that. I do them in the ACA program. But that one step there, that for me was just something I never could have done before. Like I never thought I was powerless. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it helped with that. And then I just started like the blog like 2 weeks later.
So you opened up an Instagram?
Yeah, opened up an Instagram. I went on holiday actually 2 weeks into it, which was crazy. But I was like, it gave me some fire in my belly. I can't explain it. Like a lot of people don't say that. Like they're like, you're like 18 days, I was acting like it was a year. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a big
like,
achievement for you though.
It was huge.
Personally, 18,
That's why when people message me today and they're like, oh, I'm only 30 days in, I'm just like, people always used to say it to me, like, that's so good. And I thought, you just winding me up. Like,
You know what
I mean?
I feel like that even now, just saying like we're over 7 months. Like it's...
because
we know how it makes us feel. Like that is a big achievement for us. So
100%.
I done some AA classes.
Okay.
And I think on the 4th or 5th week, I went there and I says, I'm only 4 weeks sober. And I was like, don't say only, cut out the only, because that is still a big. I'm in the room with these guys that are 10 years, 15 years.
It's mental.
And I'm thinking, how did you get to that? Because when I first went to my first AA class, I thought to myself, I went because it was an ultimatum, get out and go, or don't come back, basically. So I went there with no intention, if I'm being honest, with no intention of stopping.
Okay.
But when I'm in these rooms and I'm hearing, first of all, some of the experiences some of these guys have been through, I didn't want to go through any of that. But when I'm hearing 5 years, 10 years, 15 years sober, 20 years sober, I'm thinking, in my opinion then, you was sort of in a worse position than me, or in a worse situation than me, and you've managed to do it. So that gave me some fire in my belly, and not in a rude way or in a disrespectful way, but it was sort of a thing where if you can do it, and it was that bad, I can do it because I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously that was my measurement then. That was my sort of analysis of it then. Now, obviously, I think completely different.
Yeah.
But that was my fire in the belly. So, but yeah, the AA classes was a big help for me. Did you stay with it for long, or how long did you go to do the AA for?
So I think for the first 2 months, I went. I tried to go to, they say 90 meetings in 90 days, but I didn't have time for that.
Yeah,
so
couldn't do that.
Yeah, so I went, I just kind of it was at least once a week. And I went to the same one. And it just opened up my world, and also the sober community, having the blog on that.
The online sober community.
Yeah, the online, on Instagram, and listening to the podcasts and stuff. AA for me, it just works. I think it's my personality, or just, the openness. I quite like environments where people, a lot of people say it can be depressing, but for me, it's just I still go now, but maybe I go a lot less. Sometimes I might not go to one in 4 weeks, but then I will go to 2 in a week. It just really depends.
That's good.
It's for me, it's when you walk into the room, it's just, I don't know, the atmosphere in there is just honest, it's truthful, it's open, it's loving, it's welcoming. It's there's no other feeling. And
that's amazing.
I didn't feel that the class was like that. I thought you'd go in there, and, like you said, it would just be depressing and everyone's just upset, but it was just so positive, and the vibe was just incredible, and everyone's there for each other, encouraging, clapping, well done.
That's exactly
what
it.
I mean? And I'm thinking, this is amazing. Not only can I share my experience with people that are going through it, have gone through it, they're encouraging me. And you know what? I'll be honest with you, like I said, after the first class, I had no intention of stopping, but I knew I was going back the next week.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if not for myself, I'm going to do it for the class, because I want to be able to go in there and say to them, I've done a week.
Yeah.
And then I want to go in and say, I've done 2 weeks. So it wasn't just sort of for myself, it was for them as well, because I knew. So yeah, it was.
I don't think I've ever met a community that's so supportive than
it's just
the sober community. Wherever you go, you've always got someone to talk to, someone to cheer you on, offer support. I think it's
before I sort of obviously became sober, I never even knew a sober community existed, and I never knew it was so powerful and so supportive, and it's just crazy.
It's wild, isn't it?
You wouldn't know it's out there unless obviously you're in that.
100%.
So
I don't even remember how I found it, or I wish I documented the early days a bit more. If I'm honest with you, not that I miss them, but in those first moments that I'd started seeing sobriety and the sober community, I don't know, I wish I could just go and experience that feeling again.
It's a transition, isn't it?
Yeah. And just like you said, the love, the support, people were really encouraging, and I'm just looking at people being open about, now I'm quite open on my Instagram, about a lot of things, and it's my personal life, but I remember, it's not about me, it's not about the pictures of me, it's not about, it's sending a message that might help someone else, and that's what I needed, seeing people, sharing all their details of their life. I was like, aren't they embarrassed?
Yes, that's what I
I can't believe they're doing that.
I know. I did. There are times where I feel like that, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? But then I'm like, do you know what? This is going to help someone. So
a few of my friends that have watched this and still drink, they're like, Ricky, how are you sharing that? How you
I can imagine
knowing the sort of person that I am as well, because I'm quite reserved. They're like, how have you just gone on that? Anyone anywhere can see this, but I don't have a problem with it. It was my experience that, since I decided to come sober, my life's done a 360, and I'm happy to share that journey with anyone and encourage others. And like I said before, if we do 1,000 podcasts and it helps only one person, I'm happy for that sort of thing.
No, that's amazing. That's basically the definition of growth. What you just said there. Do you know what I mean? There's some stuff obviously you don't want to share, but I think with sobriety and knowing that you relate to the struggles that people have had with alcohol, being able, like, you're here obviously living your best lives today, like, and you know, it's because there were people that helped you or shared something, you know, to pass it back on to other people, like, even if the price you have to pay is your confidentiality, or you know, it's worth the price.
Absolutely. 100%.
And I think I saw that exact thing as well, like I just wanted it to be pictures of, you know, encouraging words, like not my face on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I blocked everyone I knew.
Did you?
Yeah, as soon as I did it, because I was ashamed. Plus, I didn't know if I could do it. Like, so if I told people I was sober, like, I knew what they were thinking. Like, yeah, sure you are.
Of course. So that brings me on to my next question. How do people react to you now being sober, the new sober you?
This is a good question. So, okay, so I'll be honest with you. Like, a lot of my friends I've changed. Like, when I got sober, a lot of people started disappearing. Do you know what I mean? And you know, like, you start to realize that alcohol, unfortunately, was people used to say this, and I just used to think, nah, not me. Like, but genuinely, like, you've got some people who are genuinely there for the connection and are real and will support you, whether they understand it or not. And, you know, in the experience of seeing on the sober community, that's very, very rare. So if you have them, it's very lucky for you, you know. But in general, like, if heavy drinkers tend to hang out with heavy drinkers, and, you know, their lifestyle doesn't appeal to you, and your lifestyle might even highlight some of their drinking habits that are negative
as well.
If my friend got sober when I was still drinking, I wouldn't want to know her. I don't want her to be telling me that she's living this life of clarity and you know, how am I going to feel about myself?
So we can understand it if people like kind of want to run a mile from us now.
The biggest judger, the biggest like glamorizer of drinking. Like, everything we say is because we know it. Like, that's what we did. Like, you know, I used to look at addiction. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like, my friends' reactions was, I didn't really tell anyone until, like, I'd say the first month. I told, like, one friend, and, like, obviously that's great, you know. I remember someone actually did say to me, don't you think you're being a bit dramatic for dry January? And like, I can't explain to you, like, the crushing. It was the first time I'd felt in, like, that momentum, this feeling of, like someone just, like, stabbed me in my back. Like, it was just that fear of, like, I mean, like, that I wasn't doing this thing right. And that's not what I needed.
Because you was expressing, is it because you was expressing yourself going sober? Is that what she was saying?
Yeah, like, on my Instagram.
On your Instagram,
Like,
I've had that.
Dramatic. And
like,
you know,
lead me to it. Like, this is my journey.
Actually, I've heard a friend of a friend has said, oh, everyone goes sober. Why does Alicia have to make a big deal out of it? And then another one was, oh, my sister-in-law doesn't drink anymore, but she's like, she just gets on with it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like nobody really understands why.
I'm not surprised. I've heard that, like, from a few people actually. And the thing is that, you know, good for someone else if they don't need to talk about it. But personally, like, and I'll even say this on record, like, someone that has a unhealthy relationship with alcohol for a long amount of time, to just stop drinking and to think that life just changes and there's nothing to deal with or reprogram. Like, there is, like, and it depends, like, how heavily you're drinking and how much it is in your life. But, you know, it's a deep thing for us. Like, we are rewiring who we are as individuals. Like, there's nothing, like, if that's not the deepest thing there is, like, then of course we're going to want to talk about it. You know, it's healthy for us to have a platform like this. And, you know, for so long we lived in, like, silence, or, you know, like, in the madness or whatever, to be able to get deep and you know, elaborate and talk. Like, if that's how we heal, that's how we heal.
I love talking about
not
drinking. Like I can't get into.
I feel like I should be interviewing you.
Seriously, like, even like, work Christmas party and that. Like, when I'm out at a party or something or a function, I can't wait for the time where someone says to me, Ricky, do you want a drink? And my answer is, I don't drink anymore, bro.
Have you got there?
Oh, really? Oh, God, you was a drinker. What do you mean you don't drink? How long have you stopped drinking for? like for the first sort of week or two, people like a week or two, oh, you're gonna drink again. People only started to take me serious when it was a month or 2 months,
Okay.
and I couldn't wait. And now I'm on like, well, Ricky, how long you not been drinking for? I'm like,
That's amazing.
8 months, 8 months, and then they take that, like they look at they
That's amazing.
they look at you serious now, and they're, oh, okay, 8 months, and then it's sort of they
like
they
the
know you're on it
respect is there.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I think the same actually.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can't wait to like I'm not. I stopped being ashamed quite early once I got to like 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
But now it's like I just don't drink. Like I can't wait to talk about alcohol and how bad it is. Like I don't care who it's around, drinkers or non-drinkers. Like I'm not the one that needs to feel uncomfortable here.
Yes,
like that's the way I think about it. And not to say that people who drink alcohol are like terrible people.
No,
absolutely not.
There's enough support for you guys out there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there's. I feel like it's almost my duty in a way, as someone who's kind of survived or gone through it, come out the other side. Like, you know, there are people who are too afraid to say it. Like there are people dying. Like my dad his death is going to be because of alcoholism. Like I know that, and I know that's a very morbid subject, but I have to live. I've got to say goodbye to him now, because unless he changes his life, he is going to get cirrhosis of the liver if he doesn't have it already. And you know, it's people almost think that, you know, he's a smart man. He, you know, he doesn't need to live that way, but you know, neither does an 18-year-old. No, you know, people don't need to think that they have to drink for confidence. Like, I actually thought I needed to have a conversation. I need to have one of those gin and tonic cans.
Yeah.
That's wild when, like, conversating.
It's natural. It's something that should come natural.
Yeah, but if you're programming yourself to have that always, of course you're going to grab it. Like, it's an easy way of not having to find the courage inside.
Like even at our wedding, like before, I didn't drink my wedding for the whole day until
about, it got dark.
Not even that, you know, until about it got quite dark quite early actually, because it was in October. But I didn't drink. I said I'm not drinking until 9 o'clock today. But the one time I did have a drink was before my speech, and I'm like, why do I look back now? Why did I need to do that? Like to get courage. I'm in the room with there's a lot of people, but they're all family and friends, all people that we love, all people that love us. Why do I need to have a drink? Why did I need to do that shot before I had a speech? Before I said my speech, but why do have that confidence boost? But now, don't need it.
Yeah, you guys should have a sober wedding part 2.
Yeah,
we have spoken about that. Yeah,
have you?
Yeah, I really want to, because I was not in the zone.
You know, I'll just beginning to like you, Fran. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. Yeah,
you can do 3 weddings actually. Now that you said that.
So, was there anything else that you did apart from, like, you've had AA Instagram account? Did you read any books, or do anything else to just keep you going, just for people that might need that bit of extra help?
So yeah, it was the podcast. Like, so I've started, like, I journaled a lot. Like that was huge for me, and like I'm literally writing my first book now of like childhood and my experiences, and it's kind of like a self-help autobiographical sober book, if you like. But it's not necessarily that much about alcohol. It's about all of the things that I wasn't dealing with. That alcohol wasn't the alcohol I wanted. And I think I want people to see that, you know, a lot of the time that alcohol is basically just a symbol of either confidence or, you know, awkwardness or to numb you, or it's and it represents something different to each individual. And, you know, like I remember just listening to podcasts about people's different experiences, that was quite clear to me. And the journaling helped. Like, obviously I'm turning it into a book. I don't know if I'll publish it. I don't know if it will go anywhere, but to have that record and like
your
a
memoirs,
timeline of, I can remember, like sometimes I have memories of when I'm a kid and they're so real to me, like, and I've never thought about them before. And I swear I can connect the dots with everything in my life. Like, and you know, it's not that straight cut, but I'd say like journaling is a very good way to get to know yourself. Like I met someone yesterday and they said to me, you know, I read a poem on sobriety at an open mic, and obviously it's about addiction. It's about my experience of drinking in a room full of everyone's a drinker probably. And he came up to me at the end and he said, you know, I'm almost a year sober. And it really resonated with me. I looked at him and I was like, he was young, like you know, like, and it just means the world to me when you meet people like this. And he's basically said that, like, we started talking like on those deep conversations, like with a random, that is just, it felt so natural.
Yeah.
And he said to me that his brother said to him, like, who are you? Take away the alcohol. Who are you? What do you like doing? What, like, you know, inside, like, explain yourself. And he said, like, that was the one moment I realised that I didn't know who I was without that. And to anyone, like, listening, I'd say enjoy the process of, you know, writing it down, reading, whatever works to get you to know that person. Because I swear, like, there's so many parts of you that come out that are lovely. Like, they're not, the bad sides aren't coming out no more. You're getting to all this new stuff that's been, like, pushed down there. Do you know what I mean?
It's been suppressed,
Yeah, exactly. And come on the podcast, I guess.
Where can people find you? Do you want to say your Instagram?
So I'm the Sober Extrovert on Instagram.
How is that sober underscore? What is?
Oh yeah, so it's the_sober_extrovert.
Okay.
And then I've got just all my stuff on there.
Okay. No, I really love your Instagram account and your stories. It's really interesting.
Do you have any other platforms other than the Instagram or outside of the Instagram?
Because you do your poetry as well.
Yeah. So do you know what? So everything, I use my, like, Instagram as like a hub for everything, but I'm literally just setting up my life coaching business. So that's going to be up and running in January. I'm going to have like a website. I'm going to have, like, that's going to be like a link to all of the workshops that I do. Obviously the private coaching sessions that I do, and like poetry nights and stuff. So yeah, I guess you can follow me on the Sober Extrovert.
And it's all there.
Yeah, in January, everything's gonna come, like, basically next
on your
year.
1 year anniversary. 1 year anniversary.
I gave myself the pressure for it. I was like, you have to have done something in a year, and
that's wicked.
Only got 2 more weeks to go.
Oh. No, but thank you, Fran, for coming on. It's been lovely. It's been a really good chat.
It's been really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Apart from the suggestion of the second wedding, but other than that, it was all good.
The fourth baby.
So should we say thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode, and stay tuned.
Thank you, guys. If you would like to share your sober journey with us, please send us a DM via our Instagram page
at Black Sober Pod.
We would really love to hear from you.
Take care and stay tuned.